Is the EV market a farce? It seems that the consumer is not the only one harmed and affected by the problems that these vehicles often bring. Even the manufacturers themselves are being impacted, calculating a very large negative figure in losses, which could be considered historic. You wouldn't imagine the number of electric vehicles that are being rejected at dealerships. The employees themselves try to sell them with all their might, but when it comes to an electric vehicle, that's a difficult task. Join us to learn about the latest news in the world of EVs. It's clear that it's over for EVs. The biggest drop in the electric vehicle market's history has just begun, leaving all electric vehicle manufacturers paralyzed with over $5 billion in losses. Thousands of electric vehicles are rotting in dealership lots, a deadly fire risk. Let me tell you about the electric vehicle market, which is experiencing an unprecedented collapse. Ford, GM, Toyota, and even Tesla, all automakers are struggling as the public turns against electric vehicles. But why can't dealerships sell these darn electric vehicles? If electric vehicles are a scam, what is the deadly risk that political leaders have taken? It's hard to say this, but EVs are not the future. The average person is turning against EVs due to massive reliability issues and deadly flaws that were concealed by political leaders. This is exactly what happened. The electric vehicle market is collapsing, and it's an absolute disaster. It's as if the whole world had suddenly realized that electric vehicles may not be the golden ticket. Steve Moore, an economist who has always accurately predicted upcoming crashes, simply stated that EVs are headed down a disastrous path, and he's not alone. A significant consumer report exposing 5 deadly flaws in EVs that were kept hidden from us has just been leaked, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's start with the major brands in the electric vehicle market: Ford, GM, Tesla, Jeep. All are abruptly halting electric vehicle production. And why is that? Because they've come to the harsh reality that EVs simply aren't selling as they had hoped. And the government, well, they're trying to push EVs as if there's no tomorrow. But people see through this. Here's the situation. General Motors could be going bankrupt. The company led by Barra suffered a $1 billion loss due to their overhauled EVs. Then we have Ford selling EVs at a loss of $36,000 per vehicle. Even Tesla is slashing prices left and right, and still no one is buying thousands of EVs gathering dust in dealerships. Now let's talk about used electric vehicle sales dropping by 30% this year, and new electric vehicles taking twice as long to sell as normal cars. What are the reasons? High prices, low range, and a lack of group charging infrastructure. Winter has made things even worse. EVs are rotting in parking lots as people struggle to find a working charging station. People stick with their gasoline cars because we all know why they are affordable, reliable, and hassle-free. Even a 2020 Tesla is now worth only half of what it was 3 years ago. Not to mention the battery degradation issues, that's another can of worms. The government knew this would happen and continued pushing strict emission standards for electric vehicles anyway. Joe Biden wants to ban gasoline cars and has introduced these crazy emission standards that can only be met if companies sell electric vehicles in large quantities. To deceive us into thinking it's worth buying them, he introduced tax incentives of up to $7,500 per vehicle. But at the time, car financing interest rates also increased. Coincidence much? What if I told you that buying more electric vehicles will help China more than the United States? Donald Trump exposed this grim reality where over 80% of the raw materials needed for electric vehicle batteries are supplied by China. He literally said, and I quote, "I'll stop the EV madness if I'm elected again." People should be given the choice of the final quote for their car. Ford literally ended production of its best-selling truck, the F-150 Lightning, while GM and Honda withdrew their plan to build electric vehicles for less than $3,000. Barra said she's under external pressure and believes electric vehicles cheaper than $30,000 won't be profitable. So what's the bottom line for you and me? If you're thinking of getting an electric vehicle, you might want to hold off and wait. Firstly, let's talk about reliability, or should I say the lack of it. According to Consumer Reports, EVs have a whopping 80% more issues compared to their gasoline counterparts. Yes, you heard it right, 80%. We're talking about problems with battery charging systems and even those sleek body panels that were supposed to make you look cool. But wait, it gets crazier. Plug-in hybrids are a headache with almost 150% more drama than normal cars. They can't seem to decide if they should be considered electric or gas vehicles, leading to a performance deterioration. Now let's shift gears to the real software issues. Imagine driving a car that's essentially a computer on wheels. Sounds pretty silly, but here's the problem. It's a computer that could have a mind of its own. All electric and electronic vehicles are going crazy with dashboard screens going haywire, creating distractions and posing safety hazards. It's like your car is playing a gamble, and you're the unwilling participant. But wait, it gets even scarier. Tesla, the big fish in EVs, had a software glitch that contributed to a fatal accident. The car confused lane lines and veered off course, crashing at high speeds, killing 8 people. You might have heard companies claim that electric vehicles can cover 300 to 400, even 500 kilometers on a single charge, but the reality is quite different. You'll notice that the range they mention is based on ideal conditions, and in the real world you'll get half of that figure. And when winter comes, your autonomy will decrease by 30%. And don't even get me started on the inadequate charging infrastructure. Every 2 or 5 chargers don't work correctly, while the operational ones are always crowded. And what happens when these EVs are abandoned? It becomes an environmental nightmare. Each battery is filled with valuable materials like nickel, lithium, and cobalt, essential for the sustainability of the electric vehicle industry. However, when these cars are abandoned, their environmental benefits are diluted, adding to the waste problem. Now let's focus on the big shot in the government who is exerting strong pressure on EVs through mandates and policies that make it difficult for anyone to say no. The Biden administration message is clear. Manufacturing electric vehicles are faced to consequences, Jack. But here's the catch. Prices are sky high. People are getting stuck with costs and monthly payments, and dealerships are fed up. More than 4,000 of them have joined forces to send a passionate letter to President Biden, urging him to slow down and stop imposing electric vehicles on the public. And if that's not enough to make him think twice, let's talk about electric vehicle insurance. Insurance costs are through the roof, with premiums reaching up to $6,000 per year. Even a small scratch on an electric vehicle battery can turn a $1,000 repair into a $115,000 nightmare. Insurance companies demand complete battery replacements even for the slightest damage, impacting electric vehicle owners' wallets significantly. There are cases where people were quoted up to $50,000 just because their car suffered a minor scratch on the battery. Amidst all this, President Biden is aggressively pushing his electric vehicle mandates. Federal employees are now being told to exclusively travel in electric vehicles as part of his plan to reduce emissions. However, he's also forcing a major shift in the automotive industry, seemingly unaware that the public is suffering. The middle class, the backbone of the economy, is the most affected in this utopian dream of electric vehicles, only to wake up to a reality where these vehicles are nothing more than overpriced and underperforming commodities. Across the country, stories are piling up. Lots filled with unwanted electric vehicles and a sales pitch falling on deaf ears in the electric vehicle market. The crash is not just a warning sign, it's a deafening alarm. Well, it's time to wake up and smell the gasoline because let's face it, EVs are simply not the way to go, at least not yet. We're facing tough times ahead, folks. The electric vehicle market's fall is a clear reminder that we jumped before looking. And you, what do you think about it? Do you still support the future promised by EVs? We'll be reading your thoughts. Leave us your opinion in the comments section. We invite you to be part of our community. Please subscribe to our channel and activate the bell to not miss any of our updates. Share this video with your EV enthusiast friends. Thank you for choosing us. We hope to see you in the next video.